What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Fury here and I'm excited to bring you Raphael for this week's character review. She has been performing unlike anything we expected with those massive heals she brings to the team. So stay tuned, we're going to be covering details about her effects and we're starting now.
I wanna be immortal, like a god in the sky. I wanna be a silk flower.
So here she is, she's back in the meta and making waves with how she's able to just heal and keep the sustain on Vivian's Nephilim going. This is not something we expected, but with tests and how players have been deploying their own Raphaels on their team, it's just become evident that she is now a very viable option for your team. So let's look quickly here at how she brings incredible healing potential and support for your squad. Looking at her abilities first, she has an active here that does do some attack damage to the enemies, but being from the priest class, there's not much support for the damage that she can do, doing 182% of attack to 4 random enemies, and then supporting her allies by increasing 30% of attack, 30 speed on 4 random for 3 rounds. In addition to this, she's also going to be increasing the amount of heal that they receive by 20% for 3 rounds as well. Now, this does stack up with Vivian and Nephilim's own buffs for healing themselves. And since Raphael just has all these healing abilities built into her kit, it stacks up very nicely and we see massive heals game in and game out. Moving on to the next one over here, her static passive for number 1 is going to just increase her HP by 30%, increase her attack, which is very important because her healing is going to be based off her attack by 45%, and then her control immunity by 30%, just to make sure she's not bogged down or locked away by the enemy when she could be healing her allies while she's alive. Her basic attack, Holy Judgment here, is going to do 250% of her attack in healing to 3 random allies for 3 rounds. What's nice about this ability on her is that she targets allies who have already lost HP, so it's not going to go wasted on someone who's full. It's going to be a smart version of the healing that's just going to target those allies who need it the most. But where she comes in absolutely clutch, I'm just gonna say it, is on her last passive, Beacon of Light. When she is defeated, all allies will receive 300% of Raphael's attack in healing for 5 rounds. And in a game here where, or in the current meta at least, where we are trying to outlive our opponent's shenanigans, outlive Vivian marks, outlive Nephilim's passive damage all around, this healing keeps our team in the game. We're going to have clips showing off how this is affecting it, as well as some of those high numbers. That we have been seeing, especially in the high end spectrum of what our PvP is looking like in the game right now. But we want to see how we are kitting out our Raphaels to get to those massive heals. It's all about attack on Raphael. We don't really mind her having somewhat adequate HP. These attack numbers are something we've not seen very commonly, because even characters like Kratos, Uriel, Rogue, they're not always passing that 200,000 damage mark. But Raphael here, she's almost hitting 300,000, and until we get an attack buff, this will be the number that we see increase the most, but Raphael will certainly be hitting that ceiling the quickest. So I wanted to cover the Crystal Antique and Gear, so we'll go over here. Crystal, you cannot go wrong with attack. That is always going to be something to look forward to having on your Raphael. Speed attack allows for some extra shenanigans if you're also using a speed antique, but attack becomes one that just all around helps her abilities for healing based off her own attack. And it's how we get the 300,000 that we're trying to build up on her for that death passive for her healing in the 5 rounds. It's always going to be a flat healing number for her as long as you build up a lot of attack. For the antique here, you want to be using something that gives her a nice boost. You have Fusion Umbrella. We also have Echoes that could work, that gives 25%, and over here it would increase that to over 300,000, which is quite nice. We'll leave that on for now. And maybe Soul Destruction. It's anything. If you have something laying around that gives over 20% of attack, just let her have it. As long as it's not taking something away from other members on your team, it's going to benefit her greatly. For her actual gear here, you may notice that I don't have a preset on her. It's because we want to max out the attack. This first piece on a standard priest item, as well as your pink presets, are just going to give a massive attack boost. But if you're using a full preset, it's not going to give her that much of a high attack percentage. And a preset usually you want to have completed. So unless you're trying to be strategic with how you're using a Raphael in the manner speaking where she's supporting with those preset abilities, then you can consider having her built with a full preset in pink with levels 1 through 3. But in my case, I just want her to sit on the field for a round or two, do some heals, potentially get an active off, and then be defeated some point in the mid game so that she's pumping out those massive heals. You can't really support much because of her speed, but that's why having Echoes or a speed attack can help mitigate that and have her go pretty quickly in the priority order to then get her to use some of those preset skills. But a skill like Cure is not going to work because she's going to be defeated quite easily. She doesn't have much damage reduction, no damage depletion. Her HP is quite low in terms of what we expect from an L5 character. But we are going to be running her with shields in the potentials, which kind of lets her surpass that a little bit. But because there's a lot of marks flying around in our meta, she's not going to be lingering out there for much. Elite skills, I did also have some written down here. You kind of want to focus her towards boosting her attack, but her elite skills here aren't always going to be the first to go to. You'll usually look to upgrade other characters first, but as time goes on and you're running your Raphael, boosting in this order that I have here, the Beacon of Light, the passive, is just going to increase the intensity of those heals up from 300% to 330% of her attack. And that's going to be great for when she's defeated and then able to just pump out massive heals for the team. Next, the Potion Master. It increases her HP a little bit, but we're mainly looking for some extra attack. And of course, later on, as you have already upgraded other core pieces of your team, looking at some of Raphael's skills here, including her static passive, is going to give her 48% of attack over 45. And then finally, actives with a Pate out are a little risky to really depend on, but here number 5, it's going to allow her to increase her allies attack up from 30 to 33%. But because she's going to be doing more damage with that active, she's not a damage girl. It's not going to be very noticeable. Just the ability to support her team is something you can consider. But first, increase her healing, increase her attack. Then maybe potentially consider the rest. But make sure you ask for other players' perspective if you've reached this point to want to upgrade elite skills on Raphael, who is mainly just a support piece. So we're gonna move on over here. I want to cover the potentials real quick. Always going to be using attack on her main potentials. Healing, because these don't really benefit her. We don't mind some crit, and she's not really a damage girl. Not gonna be doing much damage. If she heals and is able to stay alive for an extra round to pump out an active skill, that's gonna be very beneficial for our team. I do have Baptism set currently, just because there's a lot of marks flying around, and if I can have her live for an extra round while escaping a resonance or an equilibrium mark from Nephilim, then I will take that. But a notable option to also pick to boost her attack would be All for One, just so she gets an extra attack bonus and then pumps out even greater heals. Attack for the 4th, and then I use Shield again because I don't really want her going down round 1. Going down round 2 through round 4 is the sweet spot for her to push through and support the team through the mid game of a round. You could also potentially use the willpower, which will just let her heal, will do extra damage based on her HP, but her HP is low. So this potential for shield will always be the best, unless you really want her going down early, and we might be seeing this in the future when burst becomes more prominent. Having her go down early is something you may have to tinker around with your team, but having shields just to have her go down in like rounds 2 to 4 is the sweet spot that I've seen. Alright, so here, the attack that I've been mainly focusing on having around for her is around the 300% mark, and that's just going to have her give out great heals. There's going to be a clip here where you'll see a battle going on, but in our current meta where a lot of fights can get pushed all the way to round 15 and then stall, Raphael allows you to play very well defensively and then also pump out those massive numbers. And I'm very excited to bring her back to us because she was gone for a little bit. Now she's back, making her big return, and it's just exciting to see a lot of players pick her up and use her on their teams for those massive flex on the heals. So this is what I have for you this evening. If you have any further questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. I really appreciate you guys. Happy gaming.